Welcome to the highly acclaimed guest lecture series, an initiative by Technovanza VJTI. I am Sharyu Anuse
and I am Rishabh Shah,
and we are thrilled to be your host for today. Taking technology to the society has always been the motto of Technovanza. Our ardent desire to enlighten young minds and inculcate impeccable qualities within them has been the very objective of the GLS. VJTI was established in the year 1887 and it is upholding its proud legacy of over a century filled with brilliance and educational progress. It has thrived in nurturing the brightest minds of the society. The renowned lineup of the guest lecture series over the year has added immense value to the lives of several young minds. We have had pioneers of diverse fields including Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Mr. Ratan Tata, Dr. Kiran Bedi, Padma Shri Nana Patekar and several others on this platform who have graced Technovanza with their presence.
Today is yet another day when we add a truly inspirational name to the list of remarkable individuals. Our guest for today is a retired General Officer of the Indian Army, the man who planned and executed the Uri Surgical Strike. Today, we are pleased to welcome the phenomenal Lieutenant General Satish Dua. Sir has served as the Chief of Integrated Defence Staff to the Chairman of the Chief of Staff Committee of the Indian Armed Forces and the former 15 Corps in Kashmir. Sir was commissioned into 8th Jammu and Kashmir Light Infantry in December 1979. He has held various commands, staff and instructor appointments during his career. He has worked actively in the field of humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. As a member of the National Crisis Management Group, he coordinated the efforts of the Indian Army, Navy and Air Force in national crisis and disaster situations. After retirement, Sir has authored a book titled India's Brave Hearts. He has also been awarded the Param Vishishta Seva Medal, the Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, the Vishishta Seva Medal, and the Sena Medal. There is so much more to add to your name, sir, and this small introduction wouldn't do enough justice to your numerous accomplishments. The impact that you have created on the next generation is the very result of your perseverance and simplicity. We are truly honored to have you as our guest. We also have with us here today the Dean of Academics, Dr. K.K. Sangle sir, and the Dean of Research Development and Consultancy, Dr. Farooq Qazi sir. I would request the Dr. K.K. Sangle sir to kindly come up on stage and felicitate our honorable guest.
So, without any further delay, let's be a part of a conversation regarding the lessons to be garnered from the battlefield under the guidance of clearly the best. Sir, passing it on to you now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that very generous introduction. I am sure I can be heard, but let me just see a show of hands. Can I be heard at the back? When people standing on the stage normally ask for a show of hands, वो सिर्फ हाथ देखने के लिए नहीं होता है, वो जोश देखने के लिए भी होता है. Can I have a show of hands? आप सबको, faculty, students, guests, everyone, आप सबको मेरा जय हिंद. How's the Josh? How's the Josh? Great. That's the Josh we want in the youth of our country. That is the Jazba that we require from a soldier in the battlefield. And whether or not they are sitting amongst you, and I will talk about it in the end. आखिर में बात करेंगे हम, जरूरी नहीं है कि आपने सेना में ही जाना है. We need everyone, and we'll talk about that in the end. Who was that guard commander? If I forget, son, it is your responsibility to remind me. खड़े होके याद दिला देना. Yes, sir. वैसे बोलूँगा नहीं. Thank you. It's an absolute delight to be here amongst you all today. I read up about this college before coming here, and I was apprised by your Honorable Dean and the other faculty members that this college, and I learned also from the students who came to receive me, that your college was actually raised, it's one of the oldest colleges, and it was raised when it was realized after the world wars that we require more engineers. And there were more of mechanical engineers that started off initially. It's an old college. It boasts of on one hand, it boasts of a very proud alumni. I don't have to take the names for you. I'm impressed by the names of the alumni, the famous alumni that you have, from businessmen to Atomic Energy Commission chairman, etc. But I am also acutely conscious of the fact that I was told that the one who gets the first rank in Maharashtra CISC comes here. So, sitting amongst you, all of you are the toppers, the cream de la cream. And I'm very proud of being here with you all today. Day before yesterday, on 15th of August, I beg your pardon, on 15th of January, was the Army Day. I'm sure you know about that, right? Yes. Did anyone see the parade which was held in Bangalore this time? I mean, on the television, did anyone see the parade? Okay, one. That's okay. Next week we have the Republic Day parade. I'm sure many of you have seen the Republic Day parade on television. How many have seen it live? Oh, that's a good number who have seen it live also. And some of you, most of you will see it next week on the Republic Day again. Why are these parades held? A parade like this, the Republic Day parade, even more than the Army Day parade, showcases the might of the military. They showcase the latest weaponry. They showcase latest platforms. They showcase high technology, whether it's AI, swarm drones, cloud computing, whatever is the latest technology that is stealth bombers which are being used in the military, that is put on display. Tableaus of different states are there. They show ISRO, Atomic Energy Commission, our space programs and many more such things. Why? It is to assure the citizenry, the citizens of the country, that our government, our military, our administration is capable of taking care of, is capable of protecting its citizens from all external threats. On the other hand, it also sends out a statement to the world that we can take care of our own, and we can also provide a stable environment internally. This reassures the world, the global community, that we are a responsible nation of the global community. And this stability invites them, attracts them for better investment. It sets up a positive spiral of economic growth. So indirectly, all this contributes towards economic growth. The growth story of India. The growth story of India, which you are writing, which you are scripting, which you are creating. It is the youth of India who are creating the growth story of India. If every generation was not smarter than the previous generation, we would still be living on the trees. If you allow me to tweak the reparaphrase Charles Darwin's theory in essence. Why then am I standing in front of you? Why am I here? Maybe it's because of my grey hair, which is sign of experience, or plainly put, I was born before you. So let me just speak from my experience. My experience has mostly been in combat. Let me tell you a thing or two and throw in a few words of advice from my experience. Well, I read somewhere long ago, the good part about advice is that you don't have to take it. So that's up to you, whether you take my advice or not. I'm going to start with reading out something to you. I'm quoting somebody, a great man. Let me see if anyone can catch on to it. I quote, I'm quoting now. Children now love luxury. They have bad manners. And when I say children, we are talking of the youth. Because when older people say children, they सबके लिए बच्चा बोलते हैं, चाहे वो 30 साल का हो. I start again. Children now love luxury. They have bad manners. They show disrespect for their elders, and they chatter in places of exercise. Children are now tyrants in their own homes, not the servants of their households. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, gobble up all the sweets at the table, cross their legs, and tyrannize their teachers. Unquote. Any bright guesses who said this? Anyone? I didn't think so. I didn't think that I will find someone who will be able to recognize this passage. Somebody got up? Oh, yes, sir. What is your name? Anuj, well done. Great. So if anyone didn't hear that, Socrates said that, and which was the year? 425 BC. 425 years before Christ. Thousands of years ago, Socrates said this. Therefore, being critical of the younger generation is nothing new. It's an age-old phenomena. आज भी बोलते हैं, तब भी बोलते थे, अभी भी बोलते हैं. I've just learnt a few words of Marathi. हा मुलगा माझा ऐकत नाही. मतलब this is an age-old thing, but the youth do not need critics. They need role models. It is the youth who script changes in the world and bring about revolution. Mark Zuckerberg was in his 20s when he created Facebook, and in turn, that sparked off social media. The entire social media that we all see today was started by Mark Zuckerberg when he created Facebook. Ritesh Agarwal, I'm sure you heard of him. Oyo, founder of Oyo, is in his 20s. So there are many such stories to talk of. It is the youth who bring about change, who bring about revolution, who change the world. And we look at you to do that. People of my generation, I've heard them often lament that the youth today are hooked to their mobile, they're dependent on Google, they play games online rather than in the playing field. But my take always is that that's not the case, or that's necessarily not the case. Olympic records are continuously being broken. Youth today are more fitness and health conscious. They hit the gym more often than we did. And I've already told you about what the youth, the magic created by a couple of them, and there are many more in different fields. Youth are changing the world. It is not only in the civil field, in your civil stream, it is also in the military. We see in the military, always there is a lament that today's youngster, the young officers, today's youngster, he doesn't have that kind of discipline. He wants to keep little long hair. He doesn't have discipline. He is hooked onto his WhatsApp. But it is this youth, it is this young crowd, young leaders, whether it is Kashmir or Kargil, it is they who give us victories. It is they who lead soldiers from the front, who put their lives at risk ahead of their soldiers, whether it is Kashmir or Kargil. Ye Dil Mange More wala Captain Vikram Batra, Kargil War. I'm sure you all heard of him. Yeah. Dil Mange More wala Captain Vikram Batra, Captain Manoj Pandey, Paramveer Chakra, Anuj Nayyar, Vikrant Thapa. I mean, I could take so many names. There are so many names. Men in their early 20s, they lead seasoned soldiers who are in their 30s or 40s, they lead them from the front. And the same story is in Kashmir. That goes to show that in the Indian Army, our officer to soldier casualty ratio is highest in the world. When I was a commanding officer, commanding officer is at the colonel's rank. When I was commanding officer, I was completely in combat in J&K on the LOC. I lost 8 soldiers on my watch. Out of 8, 2 were officers. That is the high officer to soldier casualty ratio we have. I've written all about it in the book India's Brave Hearts, which he just spoke about, the stories of those soldiers on the line of control. And one of the students got that book signed by me also. He had bought the book and got it signed. So that goes to show how our officers lead from the front. And who are these officers? They're all your age. They're all your age. All the Kargil War heroes that I spoke of and many more names that you know, not one had crossed 25. Ye umr thi unki. Let me tell you a very touching tale of Captain Pawan. Has anyone read the story in my book? You have? Yes. So only for you it will be a repetition. When I was Corps Commander, Corps Commander means in charge of the entire army in Kashmir. Those were the years when we got rid of Burhan Wani and many other terrorist leaders. There were a lot of encounters with terrorists. I'll talk about surgical strikes later. And I used to often go to the base hospital in Badami Bagh cantonment because we used to get the casualties there. The casualties are those somebody had his leg blown up, somebody had a grenade or splinter injuries all over his face, somebody had a burst of machine gun in his stomach. And whenever I went to meet the casualties, it was always very poignant moment. So one day when I went to meet casualties in the hospital, the commandant of the hospital, the base hospital, told me, "Sir, there is a young officer. He is refusing to go on sick leave. His name is Captain Pawan." Now, what is sick leave? Let me explain. When someone does not require any more treatment, he has already been treated, but he requires a couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks to heal. So he is sent home because he cannot go into operations. He is sent home. He is sent home to recuperate, and then he reports back to the hospital. So this officer, Pawan, was refusing to go on sick leave. So when I reached him, his ward, I looked at him, a young fellow, very bright, sprightly fellow. And I said, "What's your name, son?" "Captain Pawan, sir." I said, why are you refusing to go home on sick leave? He says, "I want to be with the boys, sir." He pulled him up to his height. In the army, we call our soldiers, officers, we call our soldiers endearingly, प्यार से, we call them boys. चाहे उसकी उम्र आपसे दुगनी हो, we call them boys. So I want to be with the boys, sir. He was a special forces officer of 10 paras. And his boys were all seasoned para commandos in their 30s and 40s. What had happened? Why was he in hospital? They had successfully eliminated 4 terrorists in a village. When they were returning, the mob surrounded them and started pelting stones at them. Now, Indian Army does not fire at mobs. And unlike police, we don't have lathi or tear gas. We only shoot to kill. It becomes very tricky for the commander there, in this case Captain Pawan. It becomes very tricky for him to extricate his men without causing casualties to the civilians. He also got hit, so people get injured, but they control themselves. So he got hit by a stone in his jaw. 4 of his jaws were broken, his jaw was entirely wired up, and now he was in the process of healing. And they were sending him on sick leave. So when he said, "I want to be with the boys, sir," a smile came to my lip when he said, "with the boys." He was such a boy himself. And I said, I just asked him, how old are you, son? Again, he pulled him up to his full height and he said, "23, sir." He was younger than my youngest son. I broke protocol and just reflexively I broke protocol. I moved closer to him, ruffled his hair, which normally you don't do. And I said, "Happy hunting, son." And I told the doctor, "Let him do whatever he wants, doc." And I went away. Less than 2 weeks later, I saluted his dead body in a casket. He could have been home. He could have gone home. You may or may not recall, in February of 2016, there was 4 suicide terrorists came inside EDI building, a 6-story building, Entrepreneur Development Institute, and took 66 Kashmiri men and women hostage, young people. And we had a 2-day encounter to clear them. We got all the 66 locals out safely, but we paid a heavy price. Captain Pawan led the charge, and 2 more bravehearts lost their life. Like I said earlier, he could have just gone home. That is the josh, that is the jazba of the youngsters, of the youth that we get to see in the army. And I obviously cannot recount so many more stories that I have, and so many more that you all may be knowing already. It is not only in the army. Today you see yourself, you see in the civil street, when we see there, so many of you are creating magic. Today there are innovative ideas, software revolution, startups galore, all that is performed by the youth. In fact, you all are very lucky. You have many options, many fields open up to you. We did not have so many options. Either somebody joined medical or engineering, or he went to armed forces or civil services. So we always had people trying to fit themselves in. You had someone who was interested in music, was trying to become a soldier. Someone interested in literature was going to become an engineer. But today you have so many more options. So it is very important for you to identify your passion. I also started off by trying to become a doctor. I joined Government Medical College, Bellary, MBBS first year. But I left that to join the National Defence Academy, Pune. Why? Because my father was from the Air Force, I was from the Air Force background. A couple of alumni came and gave a talk, like I'm giving a talk in the ground to you in our assembly. They came and gave a talk about National Defence Academy. They had already joined. And I read a book called Reach for the Sky by Paul Brickhill. It's about a daredevil British RAF pilot who lost both his legs in two different air crashes. And yet with two wooden legs, he was an ace fighter pilot in World War II. Not only that, he was shot down on German soil, and then he would escape from every prisoner of war camp that they would put him in. Eventually they started taking away his wooden legs at night. So I got so motivated reading that story. It is very important that you find your passion. You all have already narrowed down. You are in a technology institute. You are all becoming engineers. Though you may not remain engineers all your life, a lot of you don't. Am I right or not? My elder son has done electronics and communication engineering, but for the last 10 years, he's in the corporate world. After having done MBA, he's in marketing. So whatever, find your passion. And if you can turn your passion into your profession, nothing like it. Next. If you can't turn your passion into profession, you may not be you may like singing, you may not be a singer good enough to make it to Bollywood, then try to find passion in your profession. That is somehow very important. These unicorns, these startups, they all start with passion. Next, dream big. Bada socho. The world is changed by dreamers only. Whether it was Dhirubhai Ambani or Bill Gates, they made it big only because they had a dream to realize. It gives them a goal and beyond. Have you heard of George Bernard Shaw? Anyone? No? George Bernard Shaw was a British writer of the old. I don't blame you if you haven't heard, because nowadays perhaps in schools this is not being taught. George Bernard Shaw was a writer, playwright, and I am going to quote him. There is a very famous sentence that he says. I quote, "Men see things as they are." I'll say that again. Men see things as they are and wonder why. I dream of things that never were and say, why not? Unquote. That is the attitude that is required. Only then you will be able to change the world. Next, be positive. Harness the power of positive thinking. Don't be negative in your thinking. Don't always worry, ये हो जाएगा, मैं नहीं पहुंच पाऊंगा, मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगी. Be positive. I can do it. I can. I will. That should be your motto. It is when you think about something very steadily, very intently, it is then that your will becomes one with divine will. It is then that the universe conspires to give it to you. Have you heard? You are too young. You wouldn't have perhaps not seen the movie. Has anyone by any chance seen a movie called Om Shanti Om? Yes. Oh, there are so many. ये remix का ज़माना है. So perhaps you know what I'm going to talk about. There is a dialogue by Shah Rukh Khan, made very famous by Shah Rukh Khan. अभी काफी लोग सिर हिला रहे हैं. सबको पता है मैं क्या बोलने वाला हूँ. अगर किसी चीज को पूरे दिल से चाहो तो वाह वाह, तो सारी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने में जुड़ जाती है. हिंदी में mythology also says it is then that Atma and Paramatma become one. When you steadily want something, very intently, very intensely, you want something, it will be yours. But you should have that power. You should have that power of positive thinking. Harness it. There will be upsets. जिंदगी में उतार चढ़ाव आते हैं. There will be challenges, there will be upsets, there will be failures. But look for opportunities in every failure. In every dark cloud, there is a silver lining. You only have to look for it. You all heard of Uri? Uri? Yes, so you all know of only Uri the movie? Right? How's the Josh? Okay. So this is what we all started talking like this after Uri. When I say Uri, what comes to your mind? That Joshila movie? That surgical strike? Am I right or not? Yes, sir. But for me, Uri reminds me of a dark day, a dark Sunday, the darkest day of my life. It was 18th of September. Now he has read the book. I am almost repeating what I have written in the book. It was 18th of September 2016. It was Sunday. I was woken up by a phone call to say that suicide terrorists have entered our camp in Uri and we've had casualties. The encounter is still going on. After half an hour, we got the news that there had been more casualties. Though we knocked off all the 4 terrorists, but we lost 18 soldiers. 18 young lives lost, and they were lost on my watch. I was the corps commander. So for me, Uri is the darkest day which I will not forget till my dying day. इससे ज़्यादा बड़ा फेलियर और क्या हो सकता है? That very day, the army chief landed up there. The defense minister, late Mr. Manohar Parrikar, landed up there in the afternoon. In fact, I did not want him. I told the defense secretary when he rang me up, I said, why today? I don't want VIPs on my hand today. But he had already taken off. He is also, I think he's alumnus of IIT Bombay. Am I right? Manohar Parrikar. And he landed up that day. And I thought to myself, what good can come out of it? Now that he's come here on a day like this. While we had so many things to do, to coordinate operations, sanitize, bringing the dead bodies, dispatching them to their respective villages, all 18 different parts of the country. Yet we had to brief him. And there, I realized one thing. He wanted to go to Uri. I said, you can't go to Uri. The operations are still going on. So we came to my headquarters and I realized one thing during that helicopter ride. That there is so much anger in the nation against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. The whole country was incensed, outraged. And my own soldiers wanted revenge. The leadership in Delhi was agitated. We decided to turn this pain into an opportunity. अगर हम वैसे परमिशन मांगते तो कोई परमिशन नहीं लेता. In my office, sitting in my office, he said, हम क्या कर सकते हैं? I just said, sir, आप हाँ कह दो मैं कर दूंगा. You must have read this sentence. We will also go and hit them deep. We will hit the terrorist camp across the border, across the line of control, something which we had not done before. And we took 10 days of training, preparation, selecting the best men, and we went and hit them across. We caused heavy casualties. So what was it? And in 10 days, surgical strikes happened. What was that? There was, out of a failure, you grab an opportunity. And it set the stage. Now India has set a different sort of red lines for itself. It set the stage. For 2.5 years later, we had Balakot, where a deeper strike by Indian Air Force was carried out at terrorist camps. Before I try to wind up, I must also tell you, I'm at a technological institute, college. Today, you have a lot of technological enablers. Our generation has seen very low technology. Now we are trying to grapple with these mobile phones, etc. When I was preparing for my NDA entrance exam, we used to listen to the news on the radio. Not even a transistor, mind you, radio. Transistor came later in 70s, late 70s, became popular. What was the radio? Since you're budding engineers, I'm sure you know it. I don't have to explain it to you. A radio actually has a radio valve inside. The radio valve, when you put it on, takes 2 minutes to warm up. And it's like a small bulb. I'm sure you all know that, right? It's a small bulb, it glows, and then slowly attains its full luminosity. That the valve is heated up, and then you turn the dial, and the needle would move like this. And then you suddenly tune on to your station, and then you say, this is All India Radio giving you the news. The news read by Lotika Ratnam, I still remember that. It has taken 2 to 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. Today, in today's world, in 2.5 minutes, a sensational post can go viral. There can be millions of posts and reposts and retweets and in so many different platforms that I can't even reproduce all their names. Am I right or not? There will be millions of posts and reposts, right? Of sensational news. But does anyone bother to verify if the news is authentic or not? We are in the fastest finger first mode. We do that immediately. And that is where you have to be discerning. You have these enablers. You have the technological enablers, but you have to be discerning. You should know how to use technology to your advantage, but don't fall for a trap. Don't fall in a trap set by others, by the adversaries, whether it is Kashmir or China. What happens when the story that is put out by them, the narrative that is spread by them over social media, we tend to believe that. Today, what do we know about Russia-Ukraine war? We know only that which the Western media is allowing. The Russian media has been taken out, the social media. It is very ineffective. So this battle of narratives is something that you must understand, and things are moving fast, exponentially. Your generation will have to grapple with that aspect. Now, as we get into AI and quantum computing and other things that I don't know about, you will have to be more discerning. And the last thing I would like to end by saying, what I asked you to remind me is, you don't have to join the army to serve your country. Everyone doesn't have to be a soldier on the borders. The growth story of our country, needs all the skill sets that we get. the software engineers, the architects, the mechanics, the doctors, the carpenters, each and every one, so many more, all of you are required. There's corporate honchos, each and every skill set is required for the growth story of India. So you can serve the country by doing what you do to the best of your ability. Give it your best. That's all we ask. And India will benefit. Today, India is already a 3 trillion economy and counting. And we are looking at the world today listens to India. The world has started listening to India. In this G20 presidency that India has, India is in a very unique position. We are president for the G20 for 1 year. We are a rare and a unique country today that both earlier superpowers, bitter rivals, Russia and USA, both call India their strategic ally. While US and the West imposes sanctions on all other countries to buy oil from Russia, but India says we will buy oil because it is in our national interest. So that is the kind of clout India is acquiring, and that is all possible because of our economic growth, and that is the story that you are scripting. So we need your skill sets, not only soldiers. And yes, if you have respect for a soldier, if you want to show respect for a soldier, be a good citizen. I'll end by saying that. Be a good citizen. It's a tough call to be a good citizen. It's not easy. During the pandemic, we saw so many good Samaritans, so many good citizens coming up, feeding the poor, feeding stray dogs, stray animals, stray cows. But it is also tough to be a good citizen when you have to park your car a little distance away and then in the parking and walk back to your destination, shop or office, rather than park clumsily on the middle of the road and inconvenience the traffic. When you have to carry your wrappers and trash, rather than throwing them, littering them on the road, carry them with you till you find a garbage bag, a trash bin, or carry them home if you don't. So, being a good citizen means choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. And my last sentence I will say is that be a good citizen. If you have respect for a soldier, be a citizen worth dying for. Jai Hind. Thank you. You are a good audience. I'm going to take your picture. Come on, give me a smile. Hello. How's the Josh? Hi, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Excuse me, sir. We will have a Q&A session. So
I'm so sorry. I got carried away. Yes. I am looking forward to the Q&A session.
If anyone from the audience has any questions, kindly raise your hands.
I'm sorry. You have questions? Yeah. आप बोलो क्वेश्चन, मैं जोर से अनाउंस कर दूंगा. Go ahead. Thank you. Right. Very good question. What's your name? Sarvesh. Okay, Sarvesh, thank you. That's a good question. For those who could not hear, इनका सवाल अगर सुनने में नहीं आया तो मैं बताता हूँ कि जब फेलियर्स आते हैं तो आप अपने लिए वो जज्बा कहाँ से लाते हो, वो मोटिवेशन कहाँ से लाते हो to overcome the failures. So my simple answer to that कि जैसे मैंने आपसे उरी सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के बारे में बात की, that I gave you an example out of my life, one successful example. But जब कभी फेलियर्स आते हैं तो सबसे पहली चीज which helps you to overcome the failures is self-confidence. Self-confidence, बैठ जाओ प्लीज बेटा. Self-confidence नहीं खोना है, और ये अपने दिल को समझाना है कि आज अगर ये दिन अच्छा नहीं है मेरा, कल अच्छा दिन आएगा. एंड इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट इज योर कॉम्पिटेंस. आपका अपने काम में अच्छा होना. आपको सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस तभी आएगा जब आप अपने काम में अच्छे होंगे. और जब मैं कह रहा हूं अपने काम में अच्छे, तो सिर्फ आपका अपना पर्सनली अच्छा होना काफी नहीं है. यू ऑल्सो हैव टू हैव टीम कॉम्पिटेंस. आप जिस भी महकमे में काम करते हैं, अगर आप एक इंजीनियरिंग फर्म में काम कर रहे हैं, यू विल हैव अ टीम, योर वर्टिकल और whoever else is participating with you, you have to have confidence in each other, and that brings about the new factor of team spirit. So you have to remember that it is your competence, team spirit and motivation. Motivation जो मैंने पहले कहा कि have confidence in yourself, कि आज अगर अच्छा दिन नहीं है, मेरा अच्छा दिन आएगा. I will overcome this. And this all happens with good leadership. आप अपने नीचे वाले, आपके नीचे अगर सिर्फ 3 आदमी की टीम भी है, उसके लीडर आप हो, और आपके ऊपर आपका CEO है, तो लीडरशिप की बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है. It is a combination of all these things that will help you overcome. And the last, I'll end by repeating, self-confidence is most important. Thank you.
Any other question?
Hi. Hello, sir. Here.
I can't. Where? Yes.
Hello, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
My question for you is how accurately is the Uri Surgical Strike depicted in the movie, and what was it like in reality?
Name, please.
Rucha.
Rucha.
Yes, sir.
Rucha, I will turn the dice. Answer the question. How much do you think it was? How much do you think it was near to the reality? Take a guess. आप बॉलीवुड में रहते हो?
About 75%, sir.
Anyone else wants to take a guess? सिर्फ परसेंटेज, और कुछ लंबा चौड़ा आंसर नहीं. 70, 20, 30%. I will go more with that. Have you got your answer?
Yes, sir.
देखिए, I have 2 sons. मेरे बेटों ने मुझे कहा, डैड ये कैसी पिक्चर बनाई है, आप कहाँ आए हैं? मैंने कहा नहीं, हम जाके देखेंगे पिक्चर. द मूवी डज नॉट ब्रिंग आउट द रियल स्टोरी, एंड उसमें लिखा भी आता है, इट इज बेस्ड और इट इज इंस्पायर्ड बाय एक्चुअल इवेंट्स और समथिंग लाइक दैट. दे पुट आउट अ डिस्क्लेमर. जो मूवी में होता है वो रियल लाइफ में नहीं होता. यस, इट इज इंस्पायर्ड बाय दैट इंसिडेंट कि उड़ी में टेररिस्ट आए थे. उसके बाद हम लोगों ने पार जाके, सरहद के पार जाके उनके टेररिस्ट कैंप पे टेररिस्ट मारे. बट वो एक ही विकी कौशल एक जगह से दूसरी जगह भी चला गया, उसको जाने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा. वो दिल्ली से डायरेक्टली मेजर साहब बात कर रहे हैं. मतलब ये तो फिल्मी मोड आप खुद ही समझ सकते हैं. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, इट वॉज अ वेरी गुड मूवी. अब जैसे मैंने आपको बोला हाउस द जोश, आपने बोला हाय सर. अगर मैं वैसे आके बोला होता हाउस द जोश, पता नहीं कोई क्या बोलता, कोई क्या बोलता, कोई बोलता ही नहीं. इट हैज एक्चुअली स्टर्ड अप द यूथ. देश प्रेम की भावना हमारे में जाग उठी है. उसके बाद एक बालाकोट स्ट्राइक और हो गया है. अब तो चाहे सरकार कोई भी हो, मेरा ये मानना है, सरकार चाहे कोई भी हो, किसी भी पार्टी की हो, खुदा ना खास्ता अगर दोबारा ऐसा कोई हरकत हुआ, ऐसी कुछ गुस्ताखी करी दुश्मन ने, तो हमारे पास कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं बचा, फिर से ठोकना ही पड़ेगा. तरीका कोई और है. Have I answered your question, Rucha?
Good evening, sir.
Good
Jai
evening.
Hind. My name is Rishikesh. Sir, I wanted to ask a question since in the latest 21st century we can see there are multipolar countries which are rising, US, Russia, China. We can see that India is also rising in a global power. Suppose we face a future disparity with China as we have seen in Arunachal Pradesh in the Galwan border. Would we give a face-to-face action, or would we choose a more diplomatic route to face them in case they attack us?
in today's world, all elements of power are combined. The military angle, the diplomacy, economic sanctions, and the political power. Everything has to be combined. You cannot say one can do, only one element of power is enough. For example, you can't have military power without economic power only. Then you see what happened in Russia-Ukraine war. That economic sanctions have been laid. All the countries have politically isolated Russia, or the Western countries at least. China is the only big country who is supporting them for different reasons. We will not go into that. So the fact is that any one answer to your question is oversimplification. We will have to use a military might, but economy will come in, diplomacy will come in. Remember in Vietnam War, Vietnam was a poor country, yet it showed resolve. Vietnam का size Rajasthan भी जितना है. 19 years it took them, but they threw the Americans out. So, Afghanistan, a ragtag, I don't have any admiration for Taliban, but जैसे भी है, 10 years the US was there, but they had to go away. So, the point being made is that today resolve is required, but many more other elements of power. Yes, please. Yes, young lady.
Hello, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
So I had a question that sometimes our emotional quotient or emotions become distraction for us.
Sorry, no, your voice not very clear. You're emotional?
Sometimes our emotions become a distraction for us.
Okay, just keep the mic little.
Getting some work or a productivity, we can say.
Yes.
But at the front, like at the army front, it's not affordable to be distracted. How do you control it?
Very good question. Because everyone thinks of a bravery of a soldier only, not about his emotional quotient. And today, EQ has become the buzzword that we as leaders grapple with. It is very important for us to make sure that the soldier is emotionally stable. And in that, a great part is played by military training, but a larger part, or equal, if not larger part, is played by the family support. When you are in the combat situation, most of these places are non-family stations. Your families are not even allowed to be with you. So for years together, you live without your family. You may go on some leave once or twice a year, but that is not like staying with your family. As an aside, let me tell you, when my younger son was 9 years old, I'm an infantry officer, I'm a counter terrorism specialist, so I have stayed in such situations more. So when my younger son was 9 years old, I had lived with him only for 2.5 years. The first time I went home on leave, he was 1.5 years. After he was born, I was there. But first time I went on leave, I was in Kargil. He was nearly 1.5 years old. For 10 days I was at home. He did not come to me in my lap. He would think I am a stranger. और पापा कहाँ है तो मेरी फोटो दिखाता था दीवार पे लगी हुई. So this is the kind of emotional trauma we face. On the 9th day, believe me, young lady, when my son actually with lalach of chocolate and gumana and this and that, on the 9th day he came into my arms. I felt like crying. I didn't feel like going back the next day. But our families are very strong. Our families have to be strong that the soldier can then serve fearlessly. When I go into combat, I don't think of my wife and 2 sons. And that is only possible if the families are supportive. I'll end by explaining this. हमारे टाइम में तो मोबाइल फ़ोन थे नहीं. When I was a soldier, in J&K नहीं थे. आ गए थे इंडिया में, लेकिन J&K में नहीं थे when I was doing active soldiering. Then, but today, when mobile phones are there, everyone has instant connectivity. आपके घर में जरा सी प्रॉब्लम हो, आपके बच्चे ने कुछ कर दिया या सास बहू का झगड़ा हो गया, आप हर चीज़ के लिए सोल्जर को फ़ोन कर देंगे, तो उसका संतुलन बिगड़ जाएगा। और मत भूलिए कि वो राइफल लेकर के पहरे पे तैनात है, और कभी कभी आपको सुनने में आती हैं घटनाएं सुसाइड की, वो ऐसे होता है। सो दैट इज़ वाई योर क्वेश्चन इज़ वेरी गुड, एंड this is something we need to understand, that emotional stability, the EQ levels of a soldier, and we have started training them for it, and we request the families also not to bother them with unnecessary things at odd hours at any time. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you. Yes, please.
Jain sir.
Yeah.
So my question is that we have seen Balakot strike, we have seen Uri Surgical Strike, and in the recent time we have seen in Arunachal Pradesh, the Indian army pushed back the Chinese army.
Yeah.
So sir, my question is that there are a lot of people, be it far opposition leaders and many other peoples, they deny the fact. They say that the government has hadn't given any kind of proof, any solid proof to what have been done by the army. So
Right.
what's your take and what message do you want to give them all and all of us? Thank you, sir.
Good question. जिन्होंने उसका पहला क्वेश्चन ना सुना हो, the initial part he said that we have done surgical strike, then we have done Balakot strike. Recently, Arunachal में army has pushed back the Chinese army in Tawang, and then you heard the rest of the question. What answer do you give to those who are doubting promises, those who doubt? Once a similar question was asked to me in a gathering that was not of students, and it was one of the doubting persons who said, "What proof can you give us, General Saab?" So my answer to him was, "Sir, I refuse to dignify your question with a response." समझ गए? ऐसे डाउट का जवाब ही नहीं देना। If you are actually doubting your army, the air chief goes on the national media and says we did Balakot strike, and after that you doubt the air chief. If you doubt the air chief of the country, then what reply can I give you? All right. So you have to understand, faith is a big thing. Try to understand the military, and our military is totally apolitical. We are not like our neighboring countries. All the neighboring countries, you've seen what is happening with the military. But our military is apolitical. Whether it is BJP or Congress or Janta or NDA or JDU, whatever. Military remains totally apolitical. We have nothing to do with Congress. So I think we must respect and have faith, have trust in the military. If you don't have trust, then I'm not here to answer that question. Yes, please.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My name is Samip Shekhar.
Hello, Sudhir.
Sir, so you were an 8th JNK ally. What motivated you to join the infantry and not any other regiment? Is my question. And also, I have a second question. Can I get your autograph on my copy of your book?
Love, abhi send karte. Yes, certainly. What motivated me to join 8 Jackali? All infantry battalions are good. There is nothing like that something I was motivated by somebody to join this particular regiment or that particular regiment. I had actually also opted for para-commando. I wanted special forces to be. I opted for para-commando. But there are limited vacancies. Jackali was my other option. Well, you have to give three options. Because I had read somewhere, and of course now I know it to be true. That time I had read as a young mind that Jammu and Kashmir Light Infantry is the only regiment which was born as a voluntary force. It was not raised in recruitment rallies. Because when 1947 October, when the raiders came into Jammu and Kashmir, the Pak army and the raiders put together, many resistance groups rose up to resist them in different parts of Jammu and Kashmir. They were later on turned into J&K militia, and later on they became, after 72, they became Jackalai, the regular regiment. They were initially a paramilitary force. So I was very sort of carried away by that story, and that's why I went to Jackalai. Thank you. Sameer. Sameer. Okay, by the time you get the next question, let me finish signing this. ये इसके साथ पता लग जाएगा सिग्नेचर से इसी में से होता है एक फोटो खींचना इसके साथ let my friend take a picture of this. टिकट लंबा वीपी थैंक यू गॉड ब्लेस यू वीपी आई होप यू हैव बीन क्लिकिंग सम गुड पिक्चर्स दिस इज द बेस्ट पिक्चर देयर यस प्लीज
Hi sir, my name is Samadhan Shinde.
सॉरी योर नेम इज
Samadhan Shinde. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर सिस्टम में तो कोई नियम होते हैं, नियमों की वजह से बहुत डिफिकल्टीज होती है.
सॉरी किसके नियम होते हैं पहला क्या बोला
सिस्टम हर एक स्कूल का
हाँ.
आर्मी का सिस्टम होता है. सिस्टम की वजह से बहुत डिफिकल्टीज होती है या कुछ मतलब हम जो जिसमें रहते हैं उनकी वजह से भी कुछ डिफिकल्टीज होती है जो आपने फेस की है और आप चाहते हैं कि वो बदले. जो मैंने फेस किया है वो दूसरों को ना फेस करना पड़े. जैसे कि D.R. अम्बेडकर जी थे, उन्होंने जो डिफिकल्टीज फेस की उन्होंने दूसरों को वो डिफिकल्टीज होने नहीं दी. वैसे आपकी कौन सी डिफिकल्टीज थी कि आप जो दूसरों को होने नहीं देना चाहते या आपने होने नहीं दी, ये पूछना था सर.
ये बड़ा गूढ़ प्रश्न है, बहुत वक्त लगेगा इसको जाने, मुझे भी सोचना पड़ेगा एक्चुअली कि ऐसी कौन सी मुश्किलात थी, डिफ़िकल्टीज थी मेरे लिए जो कि मैं कर नहीं पाया या जो मैंने लोगों को मैं समझा नहीं पाया या बता नहीं पाया, या आप चाहते हैं कि मैं वो बताऊं कि मैंने ऐसा क्या किया जिससे कि वो डिफ़िकल्टीज बाकी लोगों को ना हो. यही मतलब है ना आपका. You will have to meet me separately. I have to really think about it. क्योंकि मेरी तरफ से बहुत अच्छा मेरा 40 साल 4 decades were very good. कोई ऐसी मुश्किलात नहीं आई. आर्मी एक बहुत अच्छी और डिसिप्लिन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. छोटी मोटी चीज़ें हर समस्याएं हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में होती हैं, लेकिन इतनी बड़ी समस्या कोई हो जिसको कि आप चाहते हैं कि दूसरों को ना हो, तो वो एक अलग चीज़ बन जाती है. Maybe you're not satisfied with my answer, but then it will have to be a very deep thinking to think of some situations like that.
Due to time constraints, we will end the Q&A session.
Okay,
Now,
okay. Can I have one last question because he is the
okay, sir.
since he raised his hand that he has read my
Thank
question.
you.
On my request, can we have one?
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. So
Thank you.
this is Eligible Faisal Khan. So I was there in the Mahmood camp when Pathankot Air Base strike was there. So
You were in Pathankot?
Yeah, Pathankot was there. My dad is also in army, so
Okay.
I was there. My dad was posted in Pathankot, so I was there in base hospital. So I had seen my friend's father who had martyred at that time. So like now he's in parasite. Now he joined of his father. So like I just wanted to ask the main question is like how we can counter these kind of strikes and these kind of disasters. Like Manohar Parrikar was there at that time. Even the MLA of that Pathankot, Vinod Khanna was there. So he does not wanted to meet them. He just wanted to see his dad's body. So like I just wanted to ask this kind of questions. Thank you so much.
You see, terrorist strikes, why are they becoming now? gaining, or why are they now gaining currency the world over? Because terrorism is a low investment and high gain activity. It takes 4 terrorists to get inside that Pathankot base. It took 4 terrorists to get inside that base. It took 4 terrorists to go and attack at Uri. So, the terrorism is a tough call for security forces to manage the world over. What happened when they went into Twin Towers? The United States, with all its might, and still terrorist attacks take place, whether it is the Boston bomber or the Canada base. So things like that happen. How can we get rid of that? To get rid of that, it requires all of nation approach. Because security forces can tighten the vigil, but you can't be present in every village. In Rajouri, when this thing took place, this incident last week, so police or CRPF cannot be present in every village. Army cannot be present on every inch of the line of control. So you require intelligence agencies to gather information. You require the civil society to throw up the bad hats. After all, when terrorists come inside, it is the civil society, with some of them, the bad elements, give them shelter. They give them information. They give them khana. Otherwise, they can't operate. So, civil society help is always required. In India, we have solved 2 terrorist movements successfully. One is Mizoram and second is Punjab. Mizoram, you all don't know, when we were young officers, was one of the most bloodiest and violent insurgencies in Mizoram. But Indian Army, Indian state, that is government, has put an end to it in 1986, totally. Because the civil society was involved. In Punjab, apart from the police, the military, everyone else, in Punjab, it was the civil society that came forward. It is a civil society that, in fact, in Punjab, if any of you are too young to recall or remember, in Punjab what happened, it was the mothers who stood up and they didn't want their sons to go into militancy. It was the mothers who started giving information. So, civil society is a big stakeholder. You have to remember that. So, it's very simple to say army, CRPF, police, NSG, all that is fine. But the answer is much deep-rooted. And it is not easy. There are no easy answers. And that is why terrorism, and the first sentence that I said, I say that again in the end. That is why terrorism is gaining currency around the world. But you and I have to find different ways of doing it. You technologically and I militarily. We will find ways to do it. Thank you. All right. Thank you. I am at your command.
Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Farooq Qazi sir to give our honorable guest a memento.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to say that. Thank you. Thank you very much. तो आपने ट्रे क्यों वापस ले ली? नहीं, just he was taking with the tray. She said, नहीं सर ट्रे है. मैं सोच रहा ट्रे भी मिलेगी. फोटो लेना है बेटी? लाइव फोटो लेना. एक फोटो हम जैसे अभी ट्रे रख लो. My friend wants to take a picture. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Madam Priya?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to call upon the stage Major VP Singh to share his insights.
Right now, I'm faced with two difficult situations. One, I was not prepared for this. Since Satish is coming to VJTI, whenever he comes to Bombay, we are close friends. I said that's an institution I have been hearing of, but not seen the inside of it, so it would be a good idea to go there. So I was not really prepared for this speech. And second bad situation is, it's not the best thing to be able to speak something after General Satish gives his lecture. But well, so when you are not prepared, the best thing is to start with certain incidents which you have seen somewhere or you have gone through. General Satish Dua and myself, we have been very close friends since the age of 18. We joined army together in the National Defense Academy, and since then, we have not just been batchmates or professional soldiers, we have been together. So I'd like to recall certain incidents. When we joined academy in our first term, I came from the school, he was from first year MBBS. So we used to refer to him as a surgeon. That time we didn't know he'd do a surgical strike, but that was a... So in the chemistry lab, I had one wart on my hand, a small wart. So I said, this damn thing is not going, but it's not paining, but it keeps irritating. He said, don't worry, I'm a doctor, I'll take care of it. So he took some nitric acid or something, and he took one small glass rod, and he somehow removed it. You may not be aware, what when you remove it's got small, threads inside it, and there's a lot of blood that comes out. So that was the incident which I think I'll refer to sometime later. Now, talking of his surgical strikes and other things, what I have seen him, incidentally, even after leaving service, I've always been spending time with him in the units and things like that. Okay, we say surgical strikes and things like this. The things that go in planning and executing these kind of strikes takes a lot of planning, lot of grit, lot of determination, and it takes a lot of very strong decision-making powers. Now, if I may say so, one of the reasons for success of Uri, which people talk about, he had been doing it more than once all his life, since he was a major or a colonel. So Uri was not the first time that he went to a foreign country without a visa. Now when Uri happened, incidentally, when he was in Srinagar, I had gone to meet him, and 15 days before the strike happened by the militants, I stayed in the same place in Uri just to, refresh my old memories. So, when after Uri, we read in the papers that there were these militants who came, I was sitting having drinks with some of my friends. And naturally, being in the army, we always feel. So I told them, Satish is there, I feel he will do something different. Not these small incidents which go unreported in the paper. And sure enough, when he had a plan, and when the defense minister came, instead of giving a larger plan, he simply said, Sir, main kar dunga. And I remember, that time, the defense minister had asked him a question, what will be the cost in terms of human lives? And his answer was, Sir, this is an operation I cannot guarantee you, but there will be minimum. And this is one of the very few operations anywhere, military operations in the world, where people went across the border, did all that damage, and came back without even an injury on their side. So the reason I was saying is, why I'm saying this is, all the operations he plans are very meticulous, and the only operation all his so-called, he call it surgical, all his operations have been bloodless on our side. So the only operation he did where there was blood flowing was when he did it on my arm for removal of that wart. Otherwise, all his operations have been bloodless. Now, that was just about our association. Since I was here, during the lecture, I just thought of a few points. So I thought I must give some of my, ideas or whatever I'd like to see. He had asked a question, how do we, terrorism or any of these things which are happening, how do we counter them? I have a non-military view on this. And for all you young people who are actually future of our country, and you are so much more responsible, I feel, than our generation was. You are doing so many more things, you can take decisions. So it's important to see the background of why things happen in a country or a society. Now, in any country or society, one of the hallmarks of a country's strength is how many military victories you have. It's become a benchmark, but the only way not to do it is not have military wars, which is not possible. Now, can any of you tell me, since DC, those Mahmoud of Ghazni Muslims came, when is the last time that India actually ever got a military victory? Okay. When I was in school, history teachers used to teach us very proudly. Mahmoud of Ghazni came and looted Somnath temple 17 times. My bloody foot. If somebody can raid you 17 times, there is something wrong with you. First time, second time, third time, you must do something about it. Now, after that, anyone who wanted could come and plunder our country, and we somehow submitted saying that we are very tolerant. So the first time we ever got military victory was in 1971. It was a historic victory. So with all these years, after that we have got, so taking that to what the Satish said was, now things are changing. There was Uri strike, there was, Balakot after that. So things are changing for this. So if you really have to stop and be absolutely protected, self-protected in this, it's very important to learn from what has gone wrong, and more important, what are you going to do in a proactive manner, which is where we fail. And the reason I'm saying is, all young people, once you have taken a decision, you will do something, things are clear. But then learn from mistakes and make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, to give you an example nearer home. In 2003, we had Bombay blast. The explosives came from sea route. 2008, again, Taj, it came through sea route. Till today, we have not done anything about it. So it's very important that you do something in a very holistic manner, whether these loopholes are plugged. For example, a simple thing like protecting from the sea route. Nobody has still given it a thought that how do we protect our coastline other than Navy. In New York, with all its coastline and Hudson River and other places, there are only 2 landing sites for fishing. In Mumbai, we have some 107 of them. Now anyone can come in. So the thing is, unless you think about something proactively, there's no way you can be future-proof against these kind of things. And that's why I'd advise all you young people, do what you are doing today. If something goes wrong, think of how you can make sure that it never happens again. If not 10 out of 10, 7 out of 10, you'll be able to get over it. So that's all I had to say in my short thing. Since it's what you call, something for the youth. At my age, you tend to give unsolicited advice to unsuspecting individuals. So I have a few things of what I would like to advise you all as a young people. Like you said, believe in yourself. Decide what you want to do. Because the moment you have taken a decision, half your problem is solved. Whatever you decide, make a plan how to execute it. Go ahead with it. See the lessons learned, what has gone wrong, make sure it doesn't happen next time. These are 4 simple things we have been taught in the army since beginning, and it works. So that's all I can say, and it's been a great privilege to be here in VJTI, and like Ayusha said, she named all the great people who have passed out from this institution. I'm sure 50 or 60 years later, there'll be another girl like her standing, taking some of your names that so-and-so have passed out from this institution. So all the best for you all. And I'd like to narrate one thing just now, and General Satish said you don't have to join the army. APJ Abdul Kalam went for joining the army. He could not join. He was rejected in the interview. And see what he has done for the country and defense. So, well, man behind the gun is important when we stand there, but technology behind the gun is you all people. Technology behind the nation is you all people. And I'm sure country will be as safe in your hands if you think right, as today we think that it's in safe hands as long as military is there. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We are glorified by your presence today. It was indeed an insightful session, and we are glad to be a part of it. Also, thank you to our wonderful audience. We hope you all enjoyed the session. I am Shari Anse,
And I am Rishabh Shah.
and until next time, this is Technovanza VJTI.